Hey guys, how's it going? This is Tong, and today I want to do another rant about basketball. And this one is going to be about Kobe Bryant, just because recently, as you may have heard, many basketball fans now know that Kobe Bryant has decided to retire after 20 seasons in the NBA. And he has had a really great career, a very illustrious career. He is a first ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt. But in this video, I kind of want to argue about Kobe Bryant because I think he's a little bit overrated, and I think that LeBron is a little bit underrated because he gets hated on so much. And that's kind of what I want to talk about today. So these days, whenever I post on Facebook or go on YouTube, there are people always arguing about Kobe versus LeBron. And a lot of those fans, especially Laker fans, they argue that Kobe is much, much better and that LeBron is somehow really, really bad. And I don't really know why. A lot of the videos and a lot of comments I see something like, oh, LeBron is called Le Choke, and because he flops a lot, and generally people just don't like him for some reason. I'm not really sure why, because like, what did LeBron ever do to them, right? And people talk about his finals record too. So that's something I want to clear up in this video. First of all, I want to talk about why I think Kobe Bryant is overrated. Most people have Kobe Bryant in their top 5 NBA players of all time. Some people even have him right below Jordan at number 2. And that's just way too high for me. I want to tell you guys why. So Kobe Bryant, let's look at the stats. His career averages are 25, 5, and 5, about there. It's not exactly 5 and 5, but it's about 25, 5, and 5. And his field goal percentage, 45%, which is just average. And his three-point shots, his field goal percentage on his three-point shots is 33%, which is just average as well. So although people say that Kobe is a really good shooter, the stats say that he is just an average shooter. He just takes a lot of shots. He's just a volume shooter, basically. And yeah, I know that the more you shoot, the more difficult it is to keep up your average. However, LeBron has a much better field goal percentage than 45%. In fact, LeBron has over 50% field goal percentage, which is quite good. Even though LeBron also takes a lot of shots, though not as many as Kobe. However, Kobe is a better shooter than Allen Iverson because Iverson took a lot of shots as well, but his field goal percentage is only 42%. And I want to talk about some other achievements that Kobe Bryant fans often bring up. His 81-point game, yes, the famous 81-point game against the Raptors. In that game, he took a lot of shots. That's why he made 81 points. Yes, he was doing pretty good that game, but I think it was just Kobe taking a lot of shots, his teammates giving him the ball, him taking a lot of shots, and him being very un-Kobe-like. He was being very efficient that game. So that's why he got that many. That's why he got so many. Other people like Steph Curry, for example, or LeBron, if they wanted to take that many shots and make that much, I bet they can because they're just as efficient. If we look at Magic Johnson, for example, Magic has a field goal percentage 52% in his career. If Magic took as many shots as Kobe did, he would have gotten 81 points pretty easily, I think. So that's my one thing with that is that Kobe is a volume shooter. So the fact that he takes so many shots and he has a pretty good game once in a while, so that's why he can score so many points. Kobe in general does take a lot of field goal attempts. He shot over 40 shots a game 9 times. That's more than any other player, including Michael Jordan and Allen Iverson. So keep that in mind. In general, I think he's a pretty selfish player, and he hogs the ball to himself. In terms of team chemistry, he drove away Shaq and Dwight Howard away from LA. So first of all, he and Shaq had a lot of friction between them. If he had not had this friction between Shaq, he didn't have the ego problem with Shaq, then I think they would have won more championships. And I think he would have been even more successful. And driving Dwight Howard away from LA as well. I know that Dwight Howard, the main reason why he left LA was actually because they didn't have Phil Jackson, but definitely Kobe being there didn't help. And as well as other free agents later in his career as well. I heard Carmelo Anthony and LaMarcus Aldridge and those other free agents wanted to come to LA, but because of Kobe's constant his personality, it's very, very hard to get along, and I think they have some kind of pressure with that. So it makes it very hard to play with him. So that's another ding against Kobe Bryant. Another thing is his awards. Yeah, I know he's like 9-time All Defensive Team, but I'm not sure how deserving he is of that, considering that LeBron has more blocks and steals per game. He has one MVP only, which is a little bit of a downer. If you compare it to LeBron has 4, right? And Kobe has one MVP only, and he has 2 Finals MVPs, and those are arguably not deserved because I think that actually Paul Gasol had more of an impact during the 2009-2010 Finals than Kobe did. Kobe actually didn't shoot that well during the Finals, and Paul Gasol I think made more of an impact, as well as the other role players as well during that series. And if you want to compare like MVPs, if you want to talk that again, some Kobe fans think that because Kobe only won one MVP, that Kobe, the reason why was because Kobe wasn't liked by the media and that Kobe was robbed of some MVPs. I don't really think so. And even in 2008, I don't think Kobe really deserved the MVP. I think Chris Paul, CP3 should have gotten it that year. Even that year, Kobe, I don't think he did anything really that deserved the MVP. I think there was more deserving candidates than Kobe that year. So even his one MVP, I don't think he really deserved it. So that's just my opinion on that. And the main thing about Kobe that people bring up is when I compare him with LeBron and Tim Duncan. Okay, so we want to say who is the best player of the 2000 decades, and a lot of people say Kobe Bryant. Well, I think it's either going to be LeBron or Tim Duncan because, first of all, when I say that, people bring up the argument that Kobe never had a good team like Tim Duncan did. So when you compare him to Tim Duncan, okay, people think that Tim Duncan always had a great team, always had a successful coach. Well, the fact is that Kobe Bryant played with a whole bunch of Hall of Famers during his career, and he played with Phil Jackson, arguably the greatest coach of all time. Kobe Bryant won 5 championships. He played 3 of them. 3 championships along with Shaq, the most dominant force in the 2000s decade, and pretty much ever. Like Shaq was one of the most dominant players of all time. So he won his first 3 rings with Shaq in his prime, and he won all 5 championships coached by Phil Jackson. If we compare this to Tim Duncan played with David Robinson, who was kind of already past his prime when he entered the league. So he played with Robinson, already kind of injured and washed up in a way, and some late round picks, international players like Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker. And people say that that's really a good team. Oh, Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili. The thing is, they were not really meant to be good players at the time. Spurs just developed them into good players. And it's not like Kobe didn't have good role players either. Kobe had Lamar Odom, who is pretty good, Andrew Bynum, who at the time was pretty good, Derek Fisher, Robert Horry, plus Hall of Famers like Paul Gasol, and a few other Hall of Famers he played with like Karl Malone, Gary Payton, Dwight Howard, Steve Nash. And yeah, like Kobe played with a lot of good players also. The only time when Kobe didn't have a good team is pretty much 2005 to 2007 and 2013 to present. So it's not really that much. All the other years, Kobe had a pretty good team. So it's kind of false that Duncan always had a better team than Kobe. And another argument that people bring up for the greatness of Kobe Bryant is that he's the closest to Michael Jordan. And people say, oh, Magic Johnson or Jerry West or MJ says that Kobe is the closest thing to MJ. Since MJ is the greatest player, then people automatically say, oh, since MJ is the greatest player and Kobe is the closest thing to Michael Jordan, then Kobe must be the second greatest player. Well, that's not true because, yes, Michael Jordan is the greatest player. I agree with that. But the problem is that Kobe Bryant is so far away from Michael Jordan. Yes, he is the closest thing to Michael Jordan, I agree. But the thing is, he's still so far away. Like, compared to Michael Jordan has 8 more scoring titles. He has 1 more ring, 4 more MVPs, 4 more finals MVPs, better stats in every category. Like, even though Kobe is still obviously the second best shooting guard, compared to Michael Jordan, there's still a really big gap, which is why Kobe Bryant is not a top 5 player. So he is close to Michael Jordan, but that doesn't mean he's a top 5 player because the gap is so big. And yeah, he lost 2 finals, one against one, he was on a team full of Hall of Famers against Detroit, who didn't really have any Hall of Famers, although I think Ben Wallace should be a Hall of Famer, but they didn't really have any Hall of Famers, and you have a team full of Hall of Famers, and they lost. And once against the Celtics, and they lost in 2008, and they lost by the biggest margin in NBA Finals history. So keep that in mind as well. He had some pretty big finals losses as well, even though people say LeBron is 2-4 in the finals, Kobe is 5-2. Those two losses were pretty bad. And also the perception that Kobe is clutch, even though I can prove in the stats that he's actually not very clutch. And I'll come back to this later. Okay, now I'll get to why is LeBron hated so much. Why do you think LeBron is hated so much? I think it might be because he left to go to a team full of other stars when he went to Miami and left Cleveland. Although I think the argument for this, in my opinion, I can support LeBron. In the salary cap era, it's kind of hard to start a team already full of good players. So Magic and Bird and Jordan in a sense, because Pippen and Phil Jackson came in later, and Dennis Rodman. In a sense, the Bulls as well, but less so. Definitely the Lakers and the Celtics in the 80s. They had a team already full of good players, and that's because there wasn't a salary cap back then. So the teams could just fill up their teams full of Hall of Famers, and then Magic and Bird started on those teams, and they didn't have to leave that team. Only a few championship teams have ever had only one Hall of Famer. I can say the 77 Blazers with Bill Walton, the 79 Supersonics with Dennis Johnson, 94 Rockets with Hakeem Olajuwon come to mind, but you could make a case for the 75 Warriors as well with Rick Barry, who only had a rookie Jamal Wilkes, and the 04 Pistons and 11 Mavericks, because Dirk was pretty good, but he only had a washed-up Jason Kidd, basically. That's the only Hall of Famer he had on that team. So there's only a few championship teams that are won with only Hall of Famers. You need to have more than one Hall of Famer to win in general. And yeah, Kobe and Duncan didn't have to deal with this because Kobe already started on a pretty good team. He started on a team with Shaq, and Byron Scott was on that team, and AC Jones, and Nick Van Exel, and Eddie Jones, like a whole bunch of pretty good players already, pretty good role players. He started on that pretty good team already, and obviously Shaq became pretty dominant, so he didn't have to leave that team. And then when the Lakers did fall, like back in 2005, after they fell apart, Kobe demanded a trade, which people often forget about. They think that Kobe's always been loyal, but he hasn't. Tim Duncan also started on a pretty good team with David Robinson already, and then the Spurs management built a pretty good team around Duncan, so he didn't have to leave that team. However, LeBron started with nothing, and he was drafted in 2003 by the Cavaliers, and he started on a team full of nobodies, and he had nobodies for the next 7 years. So the Cavaliers management never gave him anything. I think it's pretty impressive already that LeBron did a lot with that team, that he basically had a crap team and the Cavaliers didn't do anything. And it's pretty impressive that LeBron actually brought one of those teams, the 2007 Cavaliers, to the NBA Finals. I think that's pretty impressive. So that comes to LeBron's record. This is another stain mark on on the LeBron's resume that people bring up, is LeBron's 2-4 record in the finals. What's so bad about that? First of all, we don't really care about finals losses. Nope. People care about 2-4 finals now, but in 10 years from now, no one's going to care about that 4. They're only going to say, oh, LeBron won 2 championships. That's it. If you ask someone off the top of your head, how many final losses did Elgin Baylor lose? No one would know, right? Because people don't really count finals losses. What about Magic Johnson, right? How many people know how many finals losses he had? The thing is, people only care about the wins. So really, LeBron has 2 wins, right? The 4 record doesn't matter. He could have 11 finals losses. It wouldn't matter. So I don't think that his 2-4 record really matters. We don't count finals losses. Jerry West had 8 finals losses. No one calls him out for that. And second of all, like out of those 4 finals losses, only one is really his fault. The 2011 one where he fell against the Mavericks, that was LeBron's fault. I agree with that. I think that LeBron should have been more dominant that series. So really only one finals loss was his fault. The other 3, 2007, like I said, that Cavaliers team was crap and was never meant to go to the finals. So 2007 is excused. 2015, just this past one, I think he should be excused as well because Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love were hurt, And LeBron did pretty well that series. He averaged, what, 36, 14, and 9, if I remember correctly. He did pretty good that series. So I don't think that was LeBron's fault as well that they lost. He brought the Warriors to 6 games, which is pretty impressive. So I don't think that's LeBron's fault as well. And the 2014 finals against the Spurs, where Dwayne Wade was injured, and the Spurs were an obviously superior team. So I don't think... So basically in that final series, the 2014 Miami Heat were full of old players, basically, except for LeBron. And the Spurs were just better. So I don't count that loss against LeBron also. So out of those 4 finals, only one really is his fault. And that's why I can't say that LeBron didn't try in the finals, because he did. Statistically, LeBron beats Kobe in every way, in field goal percentage, points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks, except for free throw percentage. Except for free throw percentage, that's the only area where he trails Kobe. In every other area, LeBron beats Kobe. Oh yeah, and for rings, but I already said that it's not really LeBron's fault why he lost those finals, and Kobe just started with a better team. And LeBron has never played with anyone like a prime Shaq or a Phil Jackson, and he still has 3 more MVPs than Kobe does. And yeah, even though people say Kobe, got robbed of MVPs and whatever, what's people's going to remember 10, 20 years from now is that LeBron has 4 MVPs and Kobe has 1. So I think that in the future, 20 years from now, people are going to look at LeBron's legacy and not hate him as much. I think it's just because it's the moment that LeBron is so recent that people hate him. People are so polarized against LeBron and Kobe. But in the future, I think people will look at Kobe's resume and look at LeBron's resume and realize, oh, Kobe's the 3rd all-time leading scorer in the NBA, but he's also the 1st all-time in missed shots. So, and LeBron, is coming up there. So when LeBron's career ends, I think it's going to be undoubtedly better than Kobe Bryant's career. And finally, LeBron attracts a lot of free agents to play with him, unlike Kobe. Kobe actually detracts free agents from playing with him. LeBron attracts free agents like Ray Allen and Mike Miller, who followed him from Miami to Cleveland. Whereas, and also the fact that LeBron took a pay cut to play with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh in Miami. Whereas Kobe did the opposite and got a pay raise. And he basically prevented the Lakers from having a lot less salary cap. He basically gave the Lakers less salary cap, which gave them less room to sign free agents, which in turn does not help Kobe win a championship. So if Kobe was really unselfish, he would have taken a pay cut. But instead, he took a pay raise. So that's another difference between LeBron and Kobe. I think LeBron is pretty unselfish, and Kobe, unfortunately, is not. Now, I want to get to the point where I said that LeBron is actually more clutch than Kobe is. And so I'm going to have some stats here for you guys. Okay, so everyone knows that Michael Jordan is one of the most clutch players in NBA history, right? So here we have the stats. For game-tying go-ahead field goals, the final 10 seconds of a 4th quarter in a postseason career, Michael Jordan is 7 out of 15, field goal percentage 47%, really, really good. Whereas LeBron James is 6 for 14, 43%, which is very, very close to Jordan. Kobe Bryant, on the other hand, is 5 out of 22, only 23% field goal percentage. So take that as you will. That is the stats. Kobe only made 5 out of 22. And if we look at the final 5 seconds, compared to Jordan, Jordan made 11 attempts, 5 makes, and 3 buzzer beaters. LeBron James made 11 attempts, same amount of attempts, but 6 makes and 3 buzzer beaters. 1 more than Jordan. And let's see, since 1997, LeBron is 820 with 24 seconds or less in the 4th quarter. Good for 2nd place in terms of makes and field goal percentage. Also pretty good. And Michael was 9 out of 18 for potential tying or go-ahead shot in the playoffs. And let's look at Kobe Bryant now. Kobe is a pretty inefficient 7 out of 28. We have the stats broken down here. So you can see all the last second shots that Kobe Bryant made, the buzzer beaters, the last second shots, and you can see that Kobe Bryant is pretty inefficient when it comes to this. So what people think, the popular perception is that Kobe Bryant is money when you're have a few seconds left in the game because he's a Black Mamba and he's a cold-blooded assassin and whatever. But the stats show that he's actually not the person to give the ball to, and he's missed more often than he made. So yeah, Kobe is statistically not clutch. He's by popular perception clutch, but statistically, in reality, he isn't. And LeBron is actually pretty clutch. So that's the end of my argument for LeBron James. I don't know why LeBron James is hated so much, but I think it's just because he has so much success recently, and I think Kobe is pretty underrated. And those are my arguments. If you guys have any comments about those arguments, then please post them below. I'm ready for some flaming comments. But yeah, in general, I hope some people agree with me. And yeah, that is my video. I hope you guys enjoyed my opinion on this. And that's it. Thanks for watching. Points. If